Welcome to the first video Ballitics episode. As you can see, Chris has gotten a lot more handsome and a lot smarter. No, I'm kidding. Chris is behind the camera now. This is my good friend Ray, and he will be joining us now on Ballitics. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, so my name is Ray. Huge basketball fan, avid watcher, longtime Laker fan since the time that I could watch TV and understood what basketball was. Used to watch the LA Lakers and Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and all the Laker greats do their thing as I was coming up. I got to see the first game ever in the Forum and got to watch Magic and Kareem play, and ever since that point I've been hooked.
Very
so
cool.
Laker fan for life, love to talk hoops and
right.
all other sports, and so looking to have some fun.
Awesome, man. I've had probably more phone conversations last over 30 minutes with you than I have with anybody else. I think I've had girlfriends that called me less. And it's always good conversation. So
yeah,
check it out. New fancy smangled logo. We got some upgrades here at Ballitics. So we'll kick it off. Today we'll be talking free agency. Obviously, that's the hot button thing here. So first couple questions here. And I'll pose these first ones to you, Ray.
All right.
How do we think KD and Kyrie are going to play together in Brooklyn?
So KD and Kyrie, once KD actually gets healthy and comes back, we'd have to see how he comes back from the injury. See if we get 75% of KD, if we get 90%, if we get 100% of KD. But if he's 100% healthy, I can see these two doing some damage together. I think their games complement each other. Kyrie at the point, obviously I think he's in a situation to where he's comfortable now, somewhere he wants to be. I think this is the first time in his career he's actually gone where he's wanted to go. And KD being comfortable with playing with one of his partners, one of his buddies. I think that their scheme and the way that they'll play, I think they'll match up with each other. And I think that their games will complement each other if they come back healthy.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think the other thing, too, that some people don't notice about Brooklyn is their supporting cast is solid. They have, Karis LeVert.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys, Spencer Dinwiddie, a lot of those guys, Jared Allen stepped up last season.
Yeah.
They might have to take some smaller roles this season, obviously, because they're going to be playing with, well, not this season, but when KD comes back. And then DeAndre Jordan, obviously, is going to take some minutes at the 5 spot.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think once KD comes back, and if he can come back healthy, I could see them being a very, very good team, especially in the East, not being as deep as the West.
Yeah, and the Jared Allen situation is going to be something to watch with DeAndre Jordan coming in now and taking up some of those minutes.
Right.
Because, we talk about this all the time. When you have, success on a certain level, and then that success, has to get taken to the next level, there's expectations all of a sudden now, right? So now we have to see with those expectations of a team that got into the A seed, and we're just kind of happy to be there. Now, especially when Kevin Durant comes back, there's going to be extra pressure to take it to that next level to either get out of the second round, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and now you're going to have guys that are, getting less minutes, that are used to playing a certain amount of minutes, and guys with contracts that are going to be coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jared Allen and some of the other guys adjust to that.
I agree. And the other thing, too, another thing we didn't really talk, we'll touch on here. I actually think Kyrie's a better fit in Brooklyn than D'Angelo will be, or than D'Angelo was. Playing alongside KD, obviously. I think Kyrie being older and already having played with LeBron, he already has a hand up in being able to play with another star like that. So I think it was a good move for Brooklyn to go from D'Lo to Kyrie. And then also Kemba being a better fit in Boston. I know we've talked about this. I actually like Kemba better in Boston than Kyrie, like you touched upon. He gets to, Kyrie got to pick where he goes now. So he's going to be happier to play in Brooklyn. He didn't get to pick Boston as a trade.
I agree. And, it's going to be a test of his leadership,
Absolutely.
Because, obviously his style of play, his ability, we're never going to question.
Right.
But now when you have the team on your shoulders and those expectations are there, we're going to see how Kyrie and KD handle that.
Absolutely.
Because we see both of these guys have been kind of prickly with the media.
Yes.
They're both, sensitive guys.
That's another thing that's interesting about this combination too. I wonder if there will be, because obviously they like each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't have, taken all this time to join up in Brooklyn. But I wonder, these are two strange characters.
Yeah,
very, very interesting guys who beat to the sound of their own drum. I wonder if there might be issue there.
Well, I think there'll be a sense of comfort there because they're both champions already.
That's very true.
So that pressure won't be on them to the first year together have to get to the finals and win the championship. I don't think, the media should put that kind of pressure on them. I know as a fan that I won't. And I got pretty high standards of the guys we actually call superstars in this league.
Yes.
And even myself as an avid, basketball fan, I wouldn't put the pressure on them to have to try to win a championship their first year together. You just want to see them be competitive, see if Kevin Durant can remain healthy.
Yeah.
Possibly get to an Eastern Conference Finals, game 7 of a second round against a really good team. And then from there, they'll have to build from there. But it's going to be interesting to see this dynamic once it comes back.
And when you say first year together, you mean not this next season, but the next one after that?
When he actually comes back healthy.
Come back healthy. Okay, yeah. And then we'll finish up here.
Yeah.
Where do you see the Nets placing this season without KD?
That's a great question. Obviously, they'll be second tier in the Eastern Conference.
So between like 4 and 8, maybe.
Yeah, I would say between 4 and 8. Obviously, you have the top teams, which is Milwaukee and Philly, and we got Boston. I think
Boston's going to be good.
Boston, and look out for
Indiana.
There'll be a possible change of a jersey, and Steven Adams maybe ended up in a Boston jersey. We know that Oklahoma City's having a fire sale.
That's right.
So they're getting rid of all their players.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Danny Ainge has been looking for another big.
Yeah,
they got Enes Kanter, but he's not a great defensive player. So we'll see. How Boston does. I think they'll come in below them. But I see them being second tier. I see them making the playoffs. I see them making some noise in the first round.
Yeah.
Depending on who that first round matchup is, there might be a first round exit for them.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I do like where you went 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And then Pacers, I think.
Yeah.
Depot's back. They played well
the
without Depot last season.
Yes. Yeah.
But obviously there's some teams that have Cinderella story seasons sometimes, and they play really well, and the next season they come back and don't. But
exactly.
Similar to like Utah this last season. They were very good 2 seasons ago. They came back. They were okay.
Exactly.
But I agree. I could see 4 through 8 somewhere along those lines. I think I'd probably have them 5 just because first year together for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and they have a lot of places in part already. I think they already have an identity of how they play. They play hard. Them. Yeah, they play hard.
Scoring
they play together. Yeah. And we'll see. They lost some key players. Obviously, they lost D'Angelo Russell. Who's replaced by Kyrie, but he's a guy that they all liked. Jared Dudley, who's obviously a guy who's on the Lakers now, is a guy, great communicator, great bench guy. Yes. Great locker room guy. You can't replace those guys when they leave sometimes. So, we'll see how the locker room reacts to some of those changes, but I think they should be excited for what they have going on over there.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to watch them, and excited to have a competitive team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I agree. All right. And the next topic we're going to go over here, obviously we've spent some extensive time talking about this already.
One of my favorite topics.
Absolutely, yeah. We've definitely spent a lot of time talking about this. And we'll open up with something that a lot of people have said about the Lakers. Did they overpay? And I'll let you start this one.
Yeah, so, as Laker fans, we heard a lot of negativity when this trade went through.
Yeah.
In the history of trades in the NBA, I don't think I've ever heard as much negativity for a guy of Anthony Davis' stature moving to a different uniform.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with that uniform was the colors of purple and gold, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We get criticized and spotlight is on the Lakers for everything. So obviously I don't think we overpaid. Let's start off with the premise of I loved all our young guys.
I did too.
I'm a huge Lonzo Ball fan.
Yeah.
Actually physically went to some of his games at Chino Hills High School.
Right.
Got to watch him at UCLA. And very impressed, with him at a very young age. I liked his ceiling. I think is very high.
Yeah,
I think he has a lot of room to improve.
He gets championship DNA.
too. The thing that I like about Alonzo, which I've discussed with you before, is that Alonzo's a kid that the things that he does not do well, he can get better at. You can become a better free throw shooter.
Right.
Become a better 3-point shooter.
Right. You can't teach his length and defensive timing, though. That's a huge thing for him.
That court vision, and he has quick hands. He has great defensive instincts.
Pelicans' backcourt is going to be deadly, by the way, with Drew Holiday. I know Chris is excited over there.
And I'm also a huge Brandon Ingram fan.
Right.
I was sad to see him go. That length and that type of athleticism we've only seen in a few players, ever in the history of this league. You got Kevin Durant, you got the Greek Freak now, who's a different type of player, but that type of length and athleticism where you can play the wing.
Yeah.
Before that, you got to go all the way back to Iceman George Gerving to find someone that's 6'9" or above that plays the perimeter and can handle the ball. So I really like Brandon Ingram and what he was becoming But he just wasn't a good fit with LeBron. Both of them needing the balls in their hands. So, and then obviously Josh Hart. We're going to miss Josh Hart in the grittiness that he brought. Yeah, just a great locker room guy, a winner. So, in saying all of that, we gave up some great pieces, but they were young, they were unproven, and we got a guy when he's healthy is a top 3 to 5 NBA player in this league.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know I talked to Chris about this. He was asking me questions about the Lakers young guys when the trade went down, saying, what can I expect from these guys? And the number one thing I told him was like talented. That was the one word that kept coming up. Just a lot of guys that could be specialists or stars even.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see superstar potential in Brandon Ingram or Lonzo.
Yeah.
But I also don't really see it in Kyle Kuzma. So all of those guys to me, I think could become stars, all-star level guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see superstar franchise centerpiece, maybe in Lonzo. For me personally, he's the only guy I really saw, like maybe you could build around him, but even then it would be a build that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Because he's a very, very unselfish Jason Kidd type, triple double point guard type of build. It wouldn't be the stereotypical build around a franchise guy where it's a big or a wing that can score the ball really well. But
he's one of those special talents where you gotta have to build around what his skill set is.
Yeah, there's definitely a correct way to build around Lonzo Ball.
And Jason Kidd was the same way. We never looked at Jason Kidd as the actual. Well, some people did as actual superstar. I mean, some people look at him as the second or third best point guard to ever play.
Yeah.
Behind Magic Johnson and some others.
Top 10 for sure for me. Yeah.
But Lonzo Ball is a guy that you have to build around his skill set.
Yeah.
And, New Orleans has that type of structure. They have that type of team.
I think they'll have
Wings,
a fun team.
athletics, athletic guys.
Run the floor.
Yeah, catch alley-oops, all those great things. I think Brandon Ingram has the potential to be very special. Not sure if he will be.
Yeah.
But he has, and he's, he's a guy, he's a gym rat. He loves to work and hone his game. So it's going to be interesting to see. But, getting back to the question of did we overpay, in my opinion, no.
Right.
You can never overpay for a guy of Anthony Davis's stature. When we look at this, the hopes is that you win a championship, hopefully a couple.
Yeah.
This guy is, in his, 28 years old. 27,
he's 26.
He's 26.
Yeah, he turned 27 this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just entering his prime right now.
Yeah, so he's just entering his prime, and he's got a lot to prove. He's got chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely.
So there's never a price that's too high when you can receive a guy like that, and not especially pair him with LeBron James.
That's the thing too. I don't think a lot of people have touched on if we didn't have LeBron James already, I'd say we overpaid.
Yeah.
If we didn't already have a super, or maybe not even LeBron, but if we didn't have another superstar, I would say, we overpaid because we gave up one of the biggest loads of draft picks and players in NBA history.
Yes.
Up until actually the OKC trade, I think had more draft picks than what our trade included for Paul George, to send Paul George to the Clippers. But in terms of already having a superstar in place in your town, being able to bring in another guy like Anthony Davis, I don't know if there's a price that's too high, besides maybe like giving up literally your whole roster, obviously. But I love the pickup. We haven't seen LeBron play with a really, really good big. Obviously, Bosh and Love, solid big men.
Yeah.
Historically competent big men, perennial all-stars. They worked well with his play style. But we've never seen him with an Anthony Davis level big man. Yeah. I know Chris touched upon it earlier when we were talking about that's like if Tim Duncan were to have played with LeBron earlier in their careers. If Tim Duncan would have joined LeBron in Miami or Cleveland as opposed to Bosh or
and when you mention the name Tim Duncan, you're talking about a guy who is regarded from a lot of people as the best power forward to ever play this game.
I personally believe he is. Yeah.
To put Anthony Davis, in that same breath, that's the type of talent we're talking about.
Right.
This is a guy that if you put a big on him on the outside, he's going around him.
Yeah.
If you put a small on him, he's going to post him up.
He was a point guard all the way up until college, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or late in high school, I think he was like 6'2", played point guard.
And then he grew like 9 inches.
Yeah, it's some crazy thing.
Then also, he shoots free throws at a very high level.
Right.
Can't put him on the free throw line.
Which is big.
Can play with his back to the basket, has a left hand and a right hand. Mm-hmm. He is the most skilled big man that we have in our game, and that's saying a lot. When you have Joel Embiid and you have
DeMarcus Cousins.
You have DeMarcus Cousins. You have Jokic. These are
Al
very
Horford.
Skilled big men, and he is still more skilled than all of those guys.
Yeah,
and
I
so
agree.
Special talent, and like you said, the fact that you're pairing him with LeBron James. We hate to see those young guys go.
Absolutely.
We wish them the best. I think they were all great Lakers. They were all fun to root for, but we kept missing the playoffs with them.
Right.
And so
and at some point something's got to change.
Yeah, so I believe that in the future, I think New Orleans, has a bright future.
Yeah.
But in LA, we're about winning championships.
Right.
So you make big boy moves when you're trying to win championships.
I told people too, we've never really built through the draft. Getting Lonzo and Ingram and Julius Randle and all these guys and Kuz that have come through. This is our first time, maybe in franchise history, where I could recall building through the draft in the purple and gold.
Yeah.
So that was something we've never really seen before. Yeah. And I don't know that the Lakers are great at it. I don't know if the fan base is patient enough, if the front office is patient enough to really, really build through the draft.
Yeah, I think you hit on that. I don't think the fan base is patient enough.
Yeah, so I think because of that, I think this was the right move.
Yes,
and I don't think we overpaid either. I would agree with you. I don't think we overpaid at all.
And if some of those young guys go on to be great players, that's fine. But I don't see anybody in that bunch that grows to be better than
Anthony Davis. Right.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think any of them reach that potential.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, when you have an opportunity to get a man with those kind of talents, you go get him.
You'll get him.
Yeah.
And then I know we touched upon, you said the word championship earlier. You said Lakers are about championships, which was a great segue into obviously what I'm going to say next.
Yes.
Which is where do the Lakers end the season. I'll start with this one. I got them going to the championship. And that might be because I'm a biased Laker fan, obviously. Gotcha. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt. but I got to say, we have the best front court in the league by far.
Yes.
And possibly the best front court of all time. A historic front court without even stepping on the floor yet.
Yeah.
With Anthony Davis, LeBron, and then you add Boogie, even if he's at 80%, still better than most bigs in the league.
Yes.
So obviously, I don't want to put the wagon before the horses and say too much.
Gotcha.
But I am super excited, so I'm going to say a little bit too much.
Yeah, because there's some Celtics fans, I'm sure they would beg to differ with Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale.
And some Clipper fans, I'm sure, would say.
And there's some Sixers, and there's some Sixer fans right now. They're saying, "Hey, look, we got Joel Embiid
Tobias
and Al
Harris.
Horford.
Yeah.
Al Horford, which is going to be a great front line.
True.
But if you're talking about the complete front line, including LeBron James,
I'd still take the Lakers.
It's a very talented front line.
Yeah.
And Boogie is always, if he stays healthy,
right.
if his mental station, with everything he's shown us so far. He's shown us that, by losing the weight, it's been said already he's lost about 15 pounds.
Said he was willing to come off the bench if need be.
It's already been reported that his quad is 100% healed, so he's not spending his summer in rehab.
Right.
He's actually going to spend it working on basketball.
Perfect.
Drills and working on his game and integrating with his new teammates. And so I'm with you. I have them at least going to the championship.
Yeah.
When I look through the Western Conference.
It's deep, dude.
It's deep. I'd be a little more worried if there was a Golden State Warriors still staying in our way because they have the chemistry. They have the camaraderie still. This team that's been there.
Yeah.
When you look at the Western Conference, we hear about Utah, we hear about Denver, who are great up and coming teams.
Yeah.
We hear about the Clippers, obviously.
Yeah.
But these teams are going to have some of the same challenges that we have when it comes to this question of who's going to win the championship in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And none of those teams have LeBron James.
Right.
So we have an ace in our back pocket there.
And that was an interesting thing too you brought up with the chemistry, because thinking about it, the top 5 teams I would say in the West right now just got put together minus the Denver Nuggets. Yeah. And 6 I would say is probably the Jazz. I would put them probably 6th best in the West right now. Every other team, I mean, Houston, the Lakers, the Clippers, I'm blanking on who else.
Yeah.
But a couple other teams that just added some stars.
Yeah. Well, Houston, what we just had happen yesterday.
Yeah. They're just adding guys this season, so everybody's going to kind of be on an even playing level. I've told Chris this. I think this is going to be the most interesting season we've had probably since the 80s.
I agree.
This is historic basketball.
I agree.
Greatness that we're entering here.
Yeah, and when you look at all the teams, like I said, they have to work through chemistry issues just like we do.
Yeah.
And even Denver Nuggets was teams that's loaded that I really like.
They're one of my favorite teams right now, by the way.
Yeah, because we're talking about postseason here now. We're not talking about the regular season.
Sure.
Because a lot of these teams will have good games against us in the postseason, and as Laker fans, we don't put too much into that. But when we get to the postseason, and your best players are Jamal Murray and a Jokic,
yeah,
and you got to beat a LeBron James,
it's tough.
It's tough to do.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it done very often.
It didn't work
and it took
9 straight seasons in the East.
it took a historic team in the Golden State
Yeah.
Warriors to continue to knock him out of,
Right.
of what his goal was,
Right.
Which is winning championships when he was in Cleveland. So all those players are very good. I think the fans in all those areas should be very excited.
Absolutely.
Utah fans should be excited.
Yeah.
Denver Nuggets fans should be excited. Clippers fans should be excited. Well, when it comes down to it, and you have to play in a 7-game series, and if we get in a championship series and you got to beat that guy 4 times out of 7,
It's hard to do.
it's a difficult task.
Especially if he's got Anthony Davis and a healthy DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah.
We've never seen him with that much talent.
Yeah. And some
I
people are
agree.
picking possibly a LA Lakers, Clippers,
Western Conference
Western Conference
7
Finals.
games at Staples Center. How crazy would it be?
And I've discussed this with you before. When you look at all 4 of those guys, our 2 best guys and the Clippers' 2 best guys, LeBron's still alpha.
You're right.
And,
Yeah.
you won't find too many people that argue. Obviously, Kawhi is really good.
Right. He may be the most talented player in the league right now.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, but
in
when
terms of experience and leadership and
Yes.
stuff, I would still take LeBron before I took
Yeah,
Kawhi right
because
now.
Kawhi Leonard obviously had some great games. I think game 1 he scored 45 points,
Yeah,
but
he
we
had
also
38 the next game
But
and
we
stuff
also
like that.
saw a game where he didn't score until the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there were games where he struggled also.
Yeah.
And so and he hasn't played against a player like LeBron while he's had to lead a team on his own.
Right, because he played
Yeah.
him in San Antonio,
Yes.
but Tim Duncan, all-time great.
Tony
leader.
Parker was
Tony
still
Parker, all-time
good.
great leader.
Ginobili was still good.
Right. I think
Yeah.
Boris Diaw was on that team,
Yes.
who was also a quiet leader.
Yeah, they had a deep team.
Yeah,
they
they
had a
did.
deep team.
Absolutely.
So he has not had to take down a player like LeBron James while he's the leader of another team.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if he can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's going to be one of the biggest questions and one of the biggest topics this season.
Right. Historic season coming up.
Yeah.
I'd put money on it.
I agree.
All right, and here's the big one. And I know I put this one in here specifically because I knew it would get you a little angry.
Oh, yeah, I want to give you round up.
Yeah, a little bit. You see that plus 275 there with the Clippers.
Yeah, I see that.
So obviously, word going around the league right now is people are questioning: are the Clippers the team to beat? A lot of people also. You have to factor in a lot of Laker haters
Yes.
who want another team to be better than the Lakers.
Of course.
Obviously, we agree because we're Lakers fans that we think the Lakers are the best. But
Yes.
if we were to look at this, step back at an unbiased view, if you were to look at these teams without jersey colors, without names, are the Clippers the team to beat for you? Are they still the deepest roster? Are they still the favorite? Let me hear it from you.
And I'm going as unbiased as I can be.
Okay.
Just speaking as a basketball fan.
Sure.
They are not better than the Lakers.
Okay.
I think they're going to be very good defensively.
Absolutely.
I think
best
that they
defense
are
in the league
going,
for me.
Yeah, I think that and a lot of these, whenever this topic is brought up in comparison to the Lakers. So very rarely have we seen the Clippers be talked about as a separate topic from the Lakers.
Right.
So again, I have no issue with anybody saying, "Hey, they're going to be a great defensive team."
Yeah.
I think that they, obviously they have 2 of the best wings in the entire NBA.
And 2 of the best wing defenders as well.
Yeah,
Between the 2 of them.
Kawhi Leonard is a 2 times MVP. How
Yeah.
much we want to put on that? That's that's up to the individual.
Sure. Yeah.
But they're going to be great in those areas. But again, some of the questions that they have about the Lakers, I flip that and have the same questions about the Clippers.
Sure.
They're talking about health. Okay, we got Paul George who's coming off 2 shoulder injuries.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was very quietly done last year.
Yeah.
When he was seen on crutches, with his
Sure.
knee bandaged up. He had knee surgery last year coming out of Oklahoma City.
Right.
And that wasn't talked about. So he's had a few summers in a row where he's come down banged up. We got Kawhi Leonard. What did he play?
9 games.
7 or 9 games?
9 games. 2
9
seasons
games
ago.
just 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
It looked like he was kind of hampered in the finals.
Yep. He
Didn't seem 100%.
Yeah, he had some knee problems, I think, still with that quad.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on. Maybe it was a new injury. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of load management.
But
right?
he's a player that needs a ton of load
Yeah,
management.
so we have to factor all those things into this answer because when you talk about load management, which is going to be huge for both teams,
Right.
the Lakers are stacked with more talent to be able to sustain that.
Yeah.
So if you need to sit LeBron, if you need to see Anthony Davis, then you have guys like Boogie Cousins. We got JaVale McGee. We got Danny Green. And we can go down the
Right.
line of guys that we have that can step in and sustain if these guys need to miss a few games. If you sit Kawhi Leonard down, yeah, Paul George can lead a team for a decent amount of time.
Couple games,
but,
sure.
You go with how stacked the West is, you
Yeah.
need both of those guys out there for as many games as
Right.
possible.
Yeah. I love the Clippers defensively.
Yes, they're gonna be great.
Patrick Beverly, Montrezl Harrell, Zubac even blocks a lot of
Yes.
shots. and those wings. They're going to be a gritty team. I actually think Western Conference Finals, Lakers versus Clippers would be the all-time offense versus defense
That'd be awesome.
we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be tremendous playoff basketball. I would say, personally, I think the Clippers are deeper in a different way than the Lakers.
Okay.
I think the Lakers have a lot more specialists and a lot more guys who could fill roles if a guy gets injured.
Yes.
We have a lot of shooting guards that can come in and shoot the ball, play wing for LeBron James. If KCP gets hurt, if Danny Green gets hurt, Avery Bradley steps in, Troy Daniels steps in, whatever the case may be, however the rotations work. I do think we need one more big. I'm a little bit nervous about the health of Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins with only having backup power forward is like Kyle Kuzma and
we just seen Tyson Chandler go to the Houston Rockets today. He would have been a great
right, and I would have loved to see Tyson Chandler back because we talked about how much we loved him last season. He saved us a bunch of games.
Yes,
bunch of games. He saved us with offensive rebounds and big defensive plays and stuff. So I would have loved to have seen Tyson Chandler back on a vet min. But like I said, it's a different kind of deep. I think the Clippers with Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, I think they just have a different kind of deep. They have a couple more guys that could play a bigger role and less guys that are specialists who could step into a smaller role.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So
I completely agree.
They have a lot of guys who are good at a lot of things and stuff, but a lot of those guys, if they go down, they miss a piece of that game, and it's hard for them to fill that spot. Whereas if we go, if we lose a shooter, if Danny Green gets injured, we have shooters to plug in. If Rondo gets injured, we have guys to plug in that can handle the basketball a little bit. But we're missing a little bit of that. We don't have that Lou Williams who's like that quiet six man who could come in and once somebody goes down, all of a sudden he's running your offense, scoring 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't have a ton of that. I think if LeBron goes down, our offense will struggle a lot. Rondo will get a lot of minutes with the ball in his hands, and he's not great at creating his own shot. So in that way, I think the Clippers, I would put us about even. If I were to take an unbiased view, step back, I would say as a roster, I would like both our rosters the same. But I think if you go a little bit deeper and you look at some things outside of statistics and stuff, I would still go with the Lakers roster, looking at LeBron James and Anthony Davis as players.
Gotcha.
If you were to go deeper than analytics.
So this is where we're going to have our first disagreement.
Sure.
Okay, so
table's flipping already.
So this is what I think. I was with you.
Right.
And then we got Boogie.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay.
So once we got Boogie, I felt that put us over the top of the Clippers.
Yeah.
Because he's the X factor here.
Right.
Because with him on the floor, if you and we're not saying we don't know what the lineups are going to be, what the starting lineups will be, but we know that at the end of games, fourth quarter, crunch time, Boogie and Anthony Davis are going to be on this floor at the same time.
Sure.
With LeBron James.
Yeah.
And who do they have to stop that? Okay.
Right.
Montrezl Harrell, it's not the answer.
It's not going to happen.
Zubac's
not going to happen.
Zubac, you're not ready for that. That's big time. Mm-hmm. I don't think Zubac is ready for that for that type of. And so that's where I think that we have the advantage over them.
Right.
Is Boogie is what put us over the top.
Sure.
Because having those two big guys on that front line with a rotation guy of JaVale McGee coming, they don't have that kind of talent on the front line. And one of the issues that I see that they may have is when those two guys are on the floor, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and they're driving to the basket, they have no stretch big that can stretch that floor out and create space for them.
That's one thing I didn't even talk about.
That's going to be an issue for them.
Their shooting is lacking throughout the roster.
Yeah, we like Shamet. We like obviously Lou Williams.
Can shoot the skin off the ball.
And then obviously you got Paul George who
shoot.
shoots the three ball at a very high level.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard is pretty good from there.
But outside of that,
once you dig deeper into that bench,
that gets a little shaky.
And they're playmakers. Who else is going to play make? You lost your primary playmaker, and we know that you got two great wings. Because a Clipper fan would say, "Well, hey, we got
Lou Williams.
We got Lou Williams,
Patrick Beverly.
Yeah, but Patrick Beverly's not a playmaker, and now Patrick Beverly goes from, playing off of the bench. A lot of people are not realizing he came off the bench.
Yeah.
So now you have a guy that was on the bench last year. Is he going to be in a starting role now?
Right.
Okay, if you're in a starting role, then those expectations are different. You're playing against starters now. You're not coming in playing. And I know he started before. He started with the Houston Rockets, and he's played that role before. But we're talking about winning a championship, and you being the starting point guard on a championship caliber team. Is he that good of a guard? That'll be seen.
To be, yeah. I would put my money on him to be, because I think just who he is as a person, I don't think he's ever backed down from anything.
Yeah.
His story, he has a really cool story.
No, he's
coming up from the G League and a lot of different schools, and he's one of those guys. He has a great story. wasn't highly sought after coming into the NBA, and worked his tail off became what he is.
Yes.
I love the guy. I actually wish the Lakers could have got him. I would have loved to see him on the Lakers. And I would put my money on him doing great in that starting role. But like you said, you never know. It's to be seen.
Yeah.
And especially when you get into playoffs and you get into championship level expectations.
Yeah, we get into,
we don't have a Warriors in the league anymore, so you're not on the underdog Rockets where it's like, well, if you don't beat them, everyone understands.
Yeah.
It's you're the number one team in the league now. You're the team to beat.
Exactly.
So can these guys step into that role? I agree with you. I think it's to be seen. I think
that's the biggest question for them. And with our team, when you get into the playoffs, especially when you get to the finals, coaches are looking for mismatches, right?
Sure.
So I think that's where we have the advantage
we create
over them.
Probably the most mismatches in the league right now.
We're going to create some problems with some of the combinations that we can put out there. We're so versatile and we have so many different guys. It's hard to even say right now as a fan, okay, what five are we going to have on the floor?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on
Who's
which way
well.
Frank Vogel, how they want to coach.
Yeah.
So our coaching staff is going to have a lot of pressure on this. I will give the Clippers a slight edge, over us with the coaching staff. Doc Rivers
would too.
has been there. He's not as great a coach as I believe as some people think he is. That's my opinion. He's one with a lot of talent, and when he, had a lot of talent with the Clippers, he underachieved. For whatever reason.
Lob City.
Yeah, with Lob City, and obviously he achieved his goal with the Boston Celtics, a veteran-laden team, and those guys are ready to win. And so I think this is going to be Doc Rivers' biggest coaching challenge, is coaching a team that has never won on the big stage, and having them believe that they can get to that level and beat the teams that are in the Western Conference.
Especially with these expectations.
Yes,
that
with
weighs
these
on
expectations. I thought it was, I know me and you talked about this before and you disagreed a little bit. That's okay. I thought it was a failure, what they did with DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and Chris Paul. The fact that those guys never got to a Western Conference Finals. Right. I thought that the version of of those Clippers and Lob City, I thought that was a failure for the amount of talent that they had. What they did not achieve. So we'll see. Doc gets another shot at it with some good talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our coaching staff, they got to get to work.
They've got a lot to
we
prove.
trust in Jason Kidd and Frank Vogel, and we like that they picked up Memphis Grizzlies, old coach, and so he's going to bring a defensive-minded,
mindset to the team.
Mindset, yeah. So we'll see. That's going to play a factor also as a coaching.
Yeah.
So
and then we'll touch on this real quickly. Is there a little bit of anger in you about Kawhi and his offseason, his long extended period of not knowing where he's going to go?
I think the only thing that made me angry as a Laker fan, if you want to call it anger,
right, as angry as you can,
was the fact that he was stretching the process out,
right?
Because he was trying to work something out with the Clippers. Because here we are as fans thinking, because I gave him a pass on this as a fan. I said, hey, because a lot of people were jumping on and say, hey, you guys got to realize, we got to put ourselves in these guys' shoes.
It's a big decision.
They're human beings,
Huge
so
decision.
he's got to decide where he's going to be living,
right?
Where he wants to possibly raise kids and get married, where he wants to live his life, and he has to do that within a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he kept stretching it out, the information was coming to us that, hey, he's just taking his time and weighing all of his options. This is a big decision.
Yeah.
So when we find out that behind the scenes, he's calling Kyrie Irving, he's calling Kevin Durant, he's calling all these players to see if he can team up with them and get them over to the Clippers.
Right.
I think Laker fans were a little upset by that.
Yeah.
And on his end, he did what he had to do.
Sure.
He was playing chess.
Part of it is Lakers fans' faults because we get overexcited very quickly. Like I talked about earlier, I think the Lakers are going to go to the championship.
Yeah.
I said one of the greatest front courts of all time. They haven't even stepped on the floor together. Yeah. As Laker fans, we get a little excited because the history of our team. Stars come here. We start a lot of rumors. Chris, I know he gets mad at me all the time as a Laker fan because I get too excited and I get a little conceited and I get a little greedy as a Laker fan.
Yeah.
But all that being said, I would have liked to have him come out and just said, I'm not going to go to the Lakers. It's between Toronto and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know the guy. Nobody was in his head. We don't know if he was actually considering the Lakers or not.
Yeah.
It seems now that maybe he wasn't, that he was always trying to get somebody to come to the Clippers with them and that we weren't really an option. But I can't say that 100%. I don't think anybody really knows 100% except for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So I can't be upset with him. I'm a little upset with how everything worked out, but not with him personally.
Yeah.
I have no animosity towards him or anything. And I think all this being said, I still think the Lakers had a great free agency. I think they missed on a lot of bad contracts, actually.
Yeah.
I think had Kawhi Leonard have come out and said, I'm not going to come to the Lakers, I think there would have been pressure from a lot of fans to go out and give really, really weird contracts to some guys that maybe don't deserve them. I know, like I've told you, Bogdanovich is good, but is he worth what he got from Utah? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not
Remains to
positive.
be seen.
Al-Farouq Aminu is not worth what he got from Orlando.
Yeah.
I don't know. Terrence Ross is not worth what he got from Orlando. So there's a couple guys where it's like they're these big names, but can you find guys who can do the exact same job but for cheaper?
Yes, Tobias Harris worth $170.
$36 million a year for Tobias Harris. I don't think so personally. I think he's like 27 range, and that's even kind of saying a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So I think there's actually kind of a silver lining here, and it's that we had to pick from a different kind of bunch than everybody else did.
Yeah.
And we made a really, really good decision getting guys like Jared Dudley, Danny Green, just as my favorites.
Yeah.
And then obviously re-signing KCP, Rondo, and JaVale was great too.
Yeah, and even all the way down to the last guy on the bench, Troy Daniels. The guy who shoots 40% from three.
Right.
Do we really miss out on not getting Ricky Rubio for 3 years, $54 million?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Deals like that.
Give me Caruso and a combination of him and Rondo and Quinn Cook playing the point, and I'll take that over.
Quinn Cook, that's the other guy I forgot to mention.
I'll take that over 3 years, $54 million.
I would too.
Did we really miss out on J.J. Redick when we got a more athletic,
at 37
player,
years old? Yeah.
And younger, and Danny Green, a better defensive player, a guy you cannot go at defensively in the NBA playoffs, right? And set schemes up for that.
Yeah, because J.J. Redick gets exposed.
Yeah, so I thought that was a funny narrative throughout this whole free agent process, is that Laker fans, oh my gosh, we're missing out on guys, and when you look at it, missed out on who?
Right.
Who do we miss out on?
I kept telling people to relax.
Yeah.
It was
everyone that got paid, we weren't going to pay those guys that much to come over anyway. All of our guys stood pat. You never heard KCP's name attached to anyone.
Rumors.
I think I heard at one point in time that JaVale McGee was supposed to have a meeting with Houston. I don't even know if that ever even happened.
Probably not, yeah.
All right. And then we had Rondo. His name was never attached to anyone. Boogie was still out there. And Danny Green was still waiting for Kawhi. So all the guys, as a Laker fan, that I would like to have been here are on the roster.
Sure.
And also with the situation, Kawhi Leonard coming to the Lakers, obviously it was sexy. Having those three guys.
Yeah.
But I think as Laker fans, we would have woke up from that situation and we're like, okay, we got these three guys. Okay,
where do we go?
And can they all three stay healthy, right? Because we're talking about the health of all four of these guys. Right. The two main stars from the Clippers and the Lakers, right? So if we're looking at that situation and we got three of those guys and we have some health issues, where does the rest come in? Where does the load management come in? And then also we're looking at now getting veteran minimum guys as opposed to giving out real money.
For the whole roster.
And as a Laker fan, that would have been rough, I think going into a season where we wouldn't have had depth. The guys that we'd have been bringing in would have been maybe some guys that other teams don't want or don't see value in. And I think it would have been it was a lot of talent there, but I think it would have been a struggle to get to the NBA Finals healthy. We would not have been deep.
Right.
So that's what I always had in the back of my mind as a Laker fan. So that's why I wasn't too upset when the whole thing didn't go our way.
Yeah.
And, props to Rob Pelinka. Great plan B. I don't think, I've heard some people use the word scramble. I don't think we scrambled at all. As you just heard me mention that these guys were waiting, and you see as soon as the Kawhi Leonard deal went down, and then Paul George was announced. Right after that, we signed Danny Green, and the signings were going all through that night,
very fast.
all the way to the next morning, and we were done.
Yeah.
So you're talking about in less than a 24-hour period of him signing with the Clippers, we had a full roster.
Yep.
And so, it was a great plan B. I don't think it was a scramble. I think Rob Pelinka and the Lakers front office did a great job in staying in communication with these guys' agents and with these players and, what they wanted. And because these are players that other teams would love to have. That stood pat and waited for us. There's other teams that could use a KCP. There's other teams that could use a JaVale McGee.
Absolutely.
These are
last season.
there's other guys, obviously, other teams that obviously wanted Danny Green.
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so for us to get all these guys at the timing that we got them, and then of course just as an NBA fan, pulling back away from being a Laker fan, it's just great for the NBA.
That's what I talked about. The two things I'm going to touch on real quick. We'll move on to the last thing here and finish up. But the two things I wanted to touch on was, as an NBA fan, as a guy who loves the history of the NBA, I actually love that Kawhi didn't come to the Lakers.
Yeah, I agree.
Outside of the fact that I'm a Lakers fan, I'm glad because we just entered, like I've said, one of the greatest, most competitive eras of basketball of all time. The Warriors' reign is done.
Yeah.
You know, they're not the team they were. And we're moving into a really fun time in basketball.
Yeah, they got to make a big decision themselves next year. What do you do with Draymond Green? Do you give him a max?
Lots of questions.
This is a guy that doesn't put up max numbers. Obviously, he's very important to what they do. You cannot let him walk away because of what he brings to your team.
Absolutely.
But he's also not really a max deal player when it comes to his numbers and what you would normally give a max deal guy. So, and his body is kind of dwindling a little bit. You know, he's you know, we saw last year he didn't give them what he's given them the years before. So they have some big questions that they're going to have to answer in the next few years. But, of course, they have the Splash Brothers. As long as they have Clay and Steph and they're healthy, they can continue to build around that. But, a lot of questions there for the future.
The last thing, too, was a compliment to the Lakers free agency. Obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a Laker fan. If we haven't said it. All these guys are signed to 2-year deals.
Yes.
LeBron's contract is up in 2 years. If we re-sign Anthony Davis, we're going to have Anthony Davis for 2 years after all these deals are done. We now have cap to go out and get another star to come play with Anthony Davis. And I don't know if you've seen the list of guys, but it's not maybe not as big as this last offseason, but it's going to be a big offseason in 2021 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Giannis is available. There's a couple different guys that are huge.
There's another big name we're going to be looking at. I'm sure Bradley Beal, if he doesn't get moved on from Washington by then, I'm sure he's going to be a guy that is still not happy in 2 years. I don't see that team. They don't even have a GM at this point.
No.
You know, we don't even know who's running things over there. You know, people want to talk about the Lakers front office.
Yeah.
You need to point the finger over there. What is going on in Washington?
They're the antithesis of the Pelicans front office.
It is bad. It's
that really was a compliment, Chris. Do you know what antithesis means? That means that they're the opposite. It means the Pelicans have a great front office. Relax.
So we're going to see, and and the Clippers, they better watch their back. This guy has proven to kind of be kind of slippery, kind of sneaky. Looks out for himself. Which for him, good for him. That works well for him, and I'm sure his family and his agent and those around him.
Sure.
But he's a free agent in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year contract with an opt out in the third. Paul George is a free agent 2 years. What if those guys don't win? What if they suffer health issues?
Yeah.
What if they can't get out of the second round in the Western Conference? Does Kawhi Leonard up and say, hey, you know what? I want to go play in New York now.
Yeah.
And hey, Giannis, will you come play with me?
Right.
We don't know what this guy is capable of. So Clipper fans, beware.
Yeah.
Because when LeBron came to us, he gave us 4 years.
Yeah.
3 guaranteed and a fourth as an option, which I don't foresee him opting out.
Sure.
And we have Anthony Davis, who's for a 5-year, $205 million deal coming up. I doubt that he passes that up.
Yeah.
Especially at the age that he'll be once this is he'll be 28.
We got him at the perfect time too.
Yeah, we got him at the perfect time,
Yeah.
and so I think that our guys are committed.
Sure.
And again, in 2 years,
hope, anyway.
we'll be doing some of this all over again. And LeBron won't be the centerpiece, of who you're trying to get to come play.
Yeah.
It'll be Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of guys knocking down the Lakers' door to take that money and come play in the purple and gold with
Absolutely.
Anthony Davis still in his prime.
Yep.
And Kyle Kuzma.
That's true.
I think will still be around at that time,
That's
too.
very true.
If nothing changes there.
It's a good point.
So, yeah.
And then last thing we'll touch upon here before we wrap it up.
All right.
Look at what I did. Isn't that great? This is all the free agent most of the free agent signings, not all of them. Most of the free agent signings that have happened that were not minor, but not the hot buttons that a lot of people were talking about. We'll just go from left to right here. Obviously, D'Lo to the Warriors, we touched upon a little bit already.
Yes.
We touched upon Philly already. I think they're going to be a great team. I think they're the best team in the East right now.
Philly's going to be really good.
I think they are too. Portland signing Hassan Whiteside, to me, that's a giant load of, I don't know, whatever. I've never been worried about Portland. Never will be. I just don't see it in them. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah,
they're
those
exciting.
two guys are dangerous.
They are.
Because I put a lot of respect on Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. I have so much respect for those guys.
I love how good they are.
I'm a huge CJ McCollum fan.
Sure.
I just love the way he plays basketball.
I love how good they are, but I don't trust them in the playoffs. I'm sorry. They had a great season last year, and I think a lot of that was because Dame was fired up with the Russell Westbrook thing.
Yeah.
And we saw the second they lost that juice, they got swept.
Yeah, I agree. And and Hassan Whiteside, he's a guy to where we really don't know what we're getting with him. Are you going to get a guy that's going to come in blocking shots and catching alley-oops?
Or is he going to try to shoot threes again?
Yeah. So the coaches will have to put him in good situations for him to flourish and for him to thrive.
Right.
But they're a team again that they could get possibly to a Western Conference Finals, or they could lose in the first round.
Right. And that's what I say about that. Yeah, they're a fun team to watch and they're exciting, and if they get hot, they're hot, and that's great for them. But
I agree.
outside of that, the Bucks keeping almost everybody. Obviously, they lost Brogdon. That's the next picture there.
One of my favorite players in the league.
I know we talked about we would have loved to have seen Brogdon in a Lakers jersey. I love Brogdon. I think he would have fit that role perfectly.
90, 50, 40, man.
Yeah,
90% from the free throw line, 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line.
Tough to do.
Probably around 6'5", what he looks like, strong, can play defense. Off the ball, can play on the ball offensively, plays defense. I think Indiana Pacers, as you know, I'm sure we're going to move on to the Indiana Pacers. I mean, what a great pickup for them and a big loss for the Bucks.
It is, and I still think the Bucks will be. I have them the second best team in the East right now, behind Philly, because Giannis is still just incredible. And I think he learned a lot this last offseason. I think we saw him show some weakness, which he does deep in the playoffs a little bit. His last few times in his career that he's made it anywhere in the playoffs, he keeps getting a little bit deeper and deeper every year. We get to see the half-court Giannis, which is not the Giannis that we see during the regular season when he can get out and run and stuff.
It changes in the playoffs.
But I still stand by what I say. I still think Giannis will be one of the greatest players of all time.
He's going to be great. I'm sure he's somewhere putting up jumpers right now while we're working on his game.
Absolutely.
And so I believe we're going to see a better Giannis come back next year. And, even though they lost Malcolm Brogdon, there's still depth at that position. They re-signed Eric Bledsoe midway through the season. Shout out to Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, right, for getting that done midway through the season. I think it was either $80 or $90 million extension. So Rich Paul doesn't just look out for LeBron James. He has a bunch of clients that he takes care of in this league, right? So shout out to Eric Bledsoe and him being able to stay healthy. I think he's a great player. And then also they re-signed George Hill.
Sure.
So they kept their depth at the point guard position. So they'll be okay there.
Absolutely. And then speed round through these last few.
Sure.
Obviously, on the far left over here, we already talked a little bit about OKC and what they got back in return.
Yeah, they're in trouble.
They're not going to have a great season, but they have a great future ahead of them.
Yeah.
So kudos to them.
If those draft picks mean anything.
That's very true. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And then obviously New York... laughing stock, would that be the right? Is that if I were to say New York Knicks right now, does laughing stock come to mind?
My boys Joe and Cornell, who are New York guys, and they die hard orange and blue. I just feel bad for them, man. They're trying to justify these picks. My buddy Joe, I'm gonna shout you out, man. He puts all of his signings on Instagram, and hey, we got this guy, and he puts a bunch of fire emojis below him.
I love Julius Randle and Taj Gibson.
I love all the guys. I like Bobby Portis. I like all of those guys play hard. I told him, I said, you are going to be the hardest playing team in the league. I said, you're going to out-rebound a lot of teams.
But you're going to win 15 games.
Yeah, and you got a bunch of power forwards, man. They got like 7 power forwards on the team, and none of them can shoot.
I don't get.
So they went the opposite of what the league is right now. But I think that with a mix of some of their young guys, we'll see what Dennis Smith Jr., if he takes the next step, that'll be huge
interesting.
For them. That he can make them interesting. And Julius Randle, obviously ex-Laker, we love Julius and
Tim
what he brings to the table.
20
Again, Bobby Portis is going to play with Taj Gibson as a consummate professional.
Yeah.
And so, and I love Kevin Knox. Yeah. Kevin Knox, really good young player who I think is going to take another step. And Mitchell Robinson, a big guy that the Lakers should have drafted instead of drafting Mo Wagner.
Yeah.
That was the guy that was on our draft board in the second round, and we did not pick him, and I don't know why. Rob and Magic, I still got a question about that. He was on our draft board. I don't know if it's because he went to Michigan and those are Michigan guys.
Yeah,
I don't get it, but I don't understand why we did not draft Mitchell Robinson. We swung and missed on that one. He's a really nice piece. So they have a lot of nice pieces. I'm just not sure they fit.
Right.
But they will play hard. Yeah. They'll win more games than they won last year. That's for sure. But again, the Knicks
isn't hard to do.
Just not looking.
Feel bad for them.
You know what? And they could have a bright future because they finally went in, and what they didn't do is they didn't give away money. They didn't give away bad contracts.
Yeah.
All their guys will be free agents by the time we have the big free agency class in 2 years again.
2021.
So we'll see what they do. We'll see if they can turn it around.
Yeah, and then obviously Derrick Rose, Mike Conley, and the Pelicans. I all put them around the same level of free agent grading.
Yeah.
I think Mike Conley to Utah is huge for them. I think that takes him another step. I think they'll be even better in the playoffs.
Yeah, he'll make life easier on Donovan Mitchell over there for sure.
I think Derrick Rose can keep Detroit at that 7-8 seed in the playoffs. I think bringing him back keeps them at least a little bit relevant.
Yeah, Andre Drummond's got to step it up, man. He's got to get more versatile in his game.
But at least they're still in the conversation.
Yeah, they're relevant.
They're still in the conversation. I think Derrick Rose keeps them there.
Yeah.
The Pelicans.
Hey,
Chris. Fantastic job with this offseason.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Got a huge load of young players drafted insanely well. We're seeing some of these guys show out in the summer league already.
Yes.
tons of draft picks.
Love Drew Holiday.
Love Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing over there in New Orleans. Now that the beef is squashed, Chris, Anthony Davis is a Laker, and you guys have all of our draft picks. We can be okay with each other again. Everybody can take a deep breath. You still hate us? All right.
Yeah, Laker fans will be keeping a close eye on what they're doing down there in New Orleans.
I got to say, I'm a fan of the team. I'll watch them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm going to watch. Every time I get a chance to watch them, I'm going to watch the Pelicans.
And then we'll do a quick 2 minutes here on Houston. How do you see them working?
Well, I think that Westbrook is an upgrade over Chris Paul.
Absolutely.
Younger, more athletic. These guys actually like each other.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting keeping an eye on them this season. Mm-hmm. And I think Westbrook will take a back seat to James Harden.
Okay.
I could see him doing that. It's just difficult, though, because these guys have played this way for a long time. So it's going to be a question mark. It's not all the time about whether you like each other or not.
Yeah.
It's whether those games can really fit and you can bring those egos down and we can do what we got to do to try to win. But, great pickup to keep that championship window open. We don't know how far they get, but
especially
they're a great X factor.
Deep this West just got.
They're a great X factor.
They got more relevant than they were with Chris Paul.
You got two MVPs on the same team.
Right.
You have two very, very, very talented players on the same team.
And Daryl Morey's theory is put three guys on the court that are very good and hope for the best.
Yeah,
so,
talent wins in this league, but
absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see if they get over the hump. And, I'm not confident in the coach that they have to try to put that together. Mike D'Antoni is a guy that we haven't seen get teams over the hump.
Right.
And I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it with these guys. So it'll be interesting to see if he sticks around for the rest of the season when the expectations are what they are. And if these two guys don't adapt to his style of play, with both of them in the lineup together,
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be it's going to take some coaching genius to make this work at a championship level.
Yeah, it is a blessing in disguise, though, that both of these guys can play long minutes.
Yes.
For D'Antoni.
Yeah.
I guess not a blessing in disguise, but it's a positive for D'Antoni that both of these guys have played long minutes for a long time. Their bodies are used to playing those type of minutes. Obviously, as they get older, that's not going to be as easy anymore.
Yeah.
But I think at this point in their career, early 30s, late 20s, I'm sure these guys are still fine playing that 35.
Yeah, they're gonna win a lot of games. They're gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's just about when we get into the playoffs, like we said, it's all about matchups
and schemes.
Are they going to be able to match up with some of the other teams in the Western Conference? If this team, again, like we said about many Western Conference teams, some of them not even playoff teams in the West. I mean, if these guys were in the Eastern Conference. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about possibly Eastern Conference Finals with this team or, at least deep second round.
Absolutely.
They got a lot of talent over there, and they're bringing back a lot of their veterans. Clint Capella and, all the other guys.
Gerald Green,
all these guys
PJ
are bringing
Tucker.
back. Yeah. So they're going to be fun to watch. We'll keep an eye on them.
All right. I think that'll wrap it up for us here today. Thanks for watching the first episode. We'll keep these coming out, and you guys have a good day. All right.
Till next time.
Till next time.
All right.
All right.